That doesn't look much like a pool, Todd.
That's my koi pond. They left a tractor here over the weekend, and I dug a koi pond, and I dug up all my sprinkler ditches.
So note, do not leave a tractor near Todd.
Exactly.
A few more minutes before we get started, but seems like a lot to talk about this week.
Do you guys have anybody at Google I/O?
That's what I was asking, if anyone has been following that. We have two folks that are there that are watching it. I don't know if they have more up their sleeve for tomorrow, but nothing really that interesting about home automation yet today.
No, they had something on the car link that looked kind of cool.
Yep, that is definitely one of the topics. CarLink was one of their things, and a lot about the wearables. And if anyone has any other suggestions for topics they want to try to cover or ask, they can feel free to either ask them or put them in the chat window there. So I'll add them to the makeshift agenda.
There, how's that?
That's nice. That's a big pool.
Yeah, I got signed off so they could plaster it tomorrow, and then I'm putting LED fiber falls right on the walls there, so it'll look cool.
Nice.
And
is that a waterfall there?
Yeah, there's three. There's one in the top center, and then two on these little wing walls. And they have LEDs inside the lips, so as the water comes out, it'll be lit up and change it all different colors. And of course, guess what I'm going to hook to it?
Electric shock system.
SmartThings. Anyway, that's my show and tell for today. See you guys.
Well, there might be a little bit more that I asked you to do, and more people join later. So
no problem.
I'd just like to hear like the kinds of questions that they asked about, the system or whatever else. I wonder how do they not really probably get very in depth.
What are you talking about? I missed you.
Didn't you have the little audit today?
Oh yeah, definitely. The county comes out and inspects that you have door alarms and barrier systems to keep little kids from coming out of the house and falling in the pool like when you're taking out. So they have these real cheesy door alarms that you got to put on, that they're all county approved and state approved and all of that. And so since I had contact sensors on my doors already, so my air conditioner goes off and it's, the alarm when I'm gone, and that the SmartThings multis is what I had up there. So he came in the house and he looked up, and of course he didn't recognize what that was. I said, that's my alarms right there. And he just turned around and he says, nah, that's not going to work. It's not state approved. There's no alarm. I go, just a minute. And I showed him the iPad and I pressed the on button and it says armed. And I says, okay, now open the door. And, I have one of those Fortress
sirens,
strobe alarms, the sirens. What are they? 115 dB.
They're loud.
Some ungodly amount. Yeah. And so anyway, that went off, and I have the lights flash too, in the back porch and in the house, so you can be anywhere in the house and know that the alarm's gone off, even if you can't hear it for some reason. And so he says, okay. Then he goes over to the other door, and I says, well, just a minute, give me your cell phone number. So I put his cell phone number in the app, and then he opened the door, and it texted him that the full access area. So that was cool.
Nice.
So we signed off.
Now we just need to get state approved.
Yep. There's a familiar face down there.
Yeah, Cade's joining. Your new neighbor, Todd Ehrman, said he would be joining us, so that is good. All right. Well, here, like I said, just at the top of the hour, there is a lot to talk about. A lot of things happened between now and the last meeting. Google I/O is we're in the midst of that. We can talk about that a little bit. Google and Nest bought Dropcam, so there's that.
Well, they said Nest bought Dropcam, not Google, if that's plausible.
Yeah, the FCC filing had Google's name on it, not Nest. So
yeah,
whatever they want to do. I mean, I like the Nest brand as a brand for your home. So, I mean, I can see why they want to do that. And Nest is adamantly trying to remain independent. So, makes sense to have that be the press.
So you don't picture like Larry Page in an office like in The Matrix with TVs surrounding him of all the drop cams around the world feeding into his office.
He has them all in a yep. It'd be interesting to see, kind of what happens with all of that, and we can talk about that a little bit. We can talk about Nest opening up a version of its API, and I say a version because a few of the folks who've looked at it are a little bit disappointed in that not a lot of the sensors are available via the API yet, like the motion sensor on either the Protect or the Nest thermostat, and humidity in the thermostat, which is available, I believe, but not through the API.
Well, the Protect, the motion sensor doesn't really work on it so well.
Well, that's true. But we'll see. Then there's the I want to talk a little bit about extending the SmartThings integration. I'm starting a community forum topic on it. Right now I'm trying to aggregate a bunch of the old ones into one. But I'd love to have that be something that we talk about. Wink from Quirky, that's a new thing. I think Wink is kind of a new spin-out company from Quirky. Kind of like I think it's sort of like Quirky's not really going to make a lot of money, and so the investors are like, let's do this other thing called Wink, which is home automation, and it's a huge opportunity. So I think that's interesting, and I mean it's also interesting that we've got Todd here. He's got all the Quirky devices integrated into SmartThings. We just have to launch them and dot a few I's and cross a few T's. So we're hoping that on the 7th, when Quirky announces a bunch of Wink, announces their going into Home Depot and they make a big fuss of it, we'll be sort of in the news as well.
So I thought Wink was just basically the blinking, of your smartphone to basically program your Wi-Fi or other things onto a device that doesn't have a screen or input for programming for Wi-Fi. Like my Locatron had that. I think that was Wink. If not, it was just like it. But after they announced that they were expanding Wink, I looked into it, and Todd, you can tell me if this is your experience, but a lot of the forums were saying that the Quirky stuff, while it was fun, the build quality was just not great, and people had problems with it, and battery life was terrible according to them. But Todd, you spent more time with it probably than any of those people, so what is your opinion on that?
Well, there's a few questions in there, so I'll take the battery life one for sure. Like on the Spotter, the battery life is not very good. But their initial release of the Spotter did not work well at all. The sensors would drop out, inconsistent all over the place. but their latest firmware, I have two of them sitting side by side, and they're very accurate. At least I shouldn't say the word accurate. They respond to vibration instantly. The temperatures are within 1 or 2 of each other. The humidity is. The light sensors work on them now. They didn't before, so they've done something there. They also have a piggy bank, and its battery dies in like a week, so that's no good. The battery life across the two devices that they have out there with batteries in them is not good.
The piggy bank doesn't.
The egg minder too. It dies 2 weeks.
I say the piggy bank doesn't hold that much money. I feel like it'd be by the time you save any money up, you'd have to break it open and buy batteries. The way
exactly.
it sounds.
Yeah. But the Aeros air conditioner, I really, in fact, it's sitting me right now, running and keeping me cool here. Very nice for a small apartment. Good. The Nimbus, I like the Nimbus too. It's that little dashboard that has the 4 dials on it. And then they, of course, have the Genius Power Pivot. They had problems with that one too at first, firmware-wise. It would randomly go off on you and just not even come back on, give you no notifications. So, but
So I was
really go ahead
about the Nimbus, saying like that the concept is really cool, but like you couldn't even switch from like Celsius to Fahrenheit or any of that stuff. Like it was just really lacking in a lot of places.
It's the first cutout. I've seen a few other people extend the interfaces to it and create their own dials, but I have it integrated in, and I use it for notifying me when I have tweets. I also have other information like how long it takes me to get from point A to point B. You can put traffic time in there. It has an alarm function, and I'm working with the Wink guys right now to tie that in and expose it for SmartThings, so that way not just have to be able to kick off a SmartThing event when the alarm comes on, but also when you turn it off. So that way if you want to snooze, you can delay using that little alarm built in until you actually turn it off. And that way, so like, don't start my coffee until I really get out of bed and turn off the alarm, or something to that effect, or don't turn on the lights until it's off. Anyway, out of the box or out of the gate, they're stumbling a little bit on their firmware. Their interfaces were a little quirky, I guess, at first, but they've improved quite a bit, and I'm curious to see where they're going to go now.
Yeah. So there was a question about if they were using electric imp for that flash. I believe so. I believe Revolve also uses the same flashing joining mechanism.
Yeah, I've torn it apart, and it has imp boards in there.
I'll be the last to comment about the only having Fahrenheit and not being able to switch to Celsius, since that was the state of our stuff for a long time.
What's interesting is I had one of the hardest things I had integrating the Aeros was it only talked Celsius and not Fahrenheit.
Huh. That's weird. All right. So who's had a chance to look at the Nest API? Anyone look at that at all? I saw that there was some interest on the community site about that. And I noticed that, like I was saying before, they didn't open up access to all the different sensors, which some people were thinking was unfortunate. I also got the impression, and I'm kind of going back a little bit, but are they doing most of their like connective tissue with IFT right now? Like they don't really have like anything like smart apps, and so it looks like if recipes are the only thing that you can kind of do. Which is interesting because they have like something like 1,000. Was it 1,000? I don't want to like speak out of turn there, but I thought they had like 1,000 if recipes right now. Maybe it was a couple hundred. Anyways, no one seems to be using that.
How many use cases can you tie to a thermostat?
Yeah, they're doing a lot of them with the Nest Protect too. So I think it's like even more of them are with the Protect. But I mean, there's also a lot of variations. So like when your Nest Protect detects a smoke alarm emergency, tweet, that's one. Send a message to your neighbor, that's two. Flash a light, that's three. Update send a notification to your Google Glass, that's four. And so they have like a bunch of things like that. So I'm wondering how many scenarios there are, or if there's only a few scenarios that are just branched like dozens of times. I didn't really dig into it too much. But yeah, I mean, it did sort of open up my eyes as to like, I know the Nest integration is a bit simplistic, the SmartThings one, and basically everyone, because they can only do if this, then that. There's not ands and ors and whatnot. But outside of that, it made me think like, well, maybe we should have a few more scenarios or some deeper integrations. We're hoping to get, to talk with those guys next week about deepening that relationship, potentially doing some more actions or as triggers or whatnot. But I'd be interested to hear from this group what if anything they would really like to see from IFT and SmartThings.
Definitely more of a cascading ability. I mean, because just the one if is somewhat binding sometimes.
Right.
I think a lot of what's available on IF is not terribly exciting to me, honestly. And I'd rather see the things I am interested in be directly connected with SmartThings, just because of how much more convenience it is, and the actions are much quicker. I know that there's some things that are pretty quick with IFT. Like for a while before Hue was set up to go directly to the SmartThings, I was using IFT to, when I opened my front door, to turn on some lights, and it was pretty quick. It's much quicker now. But I mean, you were talking about seconds versus like pretty instantaneous now. So as far as IFT goes, like I know the integrations that are there right now, as far as Google Drive and Fitbits and all the other stuff that's there. One, like I said, is not that exciting, and I think works well enough now as is. Like my WiFi scale is connected directly to SmartThings. Like the things I care about right now in general are connected directly to SmartThings. I just bought 5 Sonos speakers. I just bought 5 Sonos speakers to play around with SmartThings, and I hooked them up around. My neighbors did not like it. I wasn't a big Sonos fan, and literally I only bought it because of SmartThings. I bought it because of the integration. Otherwise, Sonos would not have been the direction I went.
But you've got 5 now.
I have 5, yeah. I have 2 3s, a 5, and 2 1s. And a bridge, which I didn't really need because I had it originally with the 1. And then I went online and I got a Control 200 and a dock, which they don't make anymore.
Nice. Yeah. We've got a ways to go on some of that integration. We did that all without their intervention, and now we've got a direct line to them and some of their engineers. So hopefully we'll improve that soon, especially around grouping. I've found that is pretty bad. It won't keep groups a lot of times, or if you ungroup and then group them again, it might not run your your apps.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, if I have a group in general, it works fine for me. Like if I use a Sonos as an alarm in the morning, it degroups that device, which is not a SmartThings issue, but it'd be cool. I think sometimes when I open my front door, it will make the announcement like 3 times in a row, and then it won't start playing what was previously playing. The other thing I don't like is for a while, I had it when my wife opened her closet. I had it do I think it's Jay-Z, right? It was like change clothes, and then when I opened my fridge, it said like Ice Ice Baby or something. But because those are actual playlists technically, they wouldn't go back to the previous music, right? It would just stop after it was done with that playlist because I was technically cutting MP3s and making that. So I think those are really cool to be able to make your own announcements using that feature. So if you create your own MP3 as an announcement, to be able to go back to its previous, whatever it was doing before it started that playlist.
Right.
So I'd like to see that. And then the other thing is I'd like to see when I set up a lot of things, right? So like if I set up like I press a button, or when my bedroom door closes, right? I have the hue lights go pink and Marvin Gaye start playing on the speaker. I did that as a joke for my wife, and it works well enough, although it doesn't work every time consistently. And of course, the first time I went to go show her was one of the times it decided not to work properly, and she was like, "So, what are you doing?" and I think it'd be really cool to have a way, and it kind of reminds me of what Harmony does with their remotes, where you can say, okay, these are the lists of things I want to perform. Right now I have to make an app for Hue, and I have to make an app for Sonos to do that. But if I could say, even if it was running apps, even if this was for running apps, if I could say, run this app first, run this app second, run this app third, in the case of something happening, so that I can control in a time frame what's happening, right? So if I open my front door, I say, first do this, then do this. Because right now, if I wanted to, let's say for the Sonos, say, the front door is opened, then do the weather, and then start playing music, I couldn't do that. It would pick one of those things, and it would do that, and then it wouldn't do the others. And it kind of makes up its own mind as what to do. So it will either tell me the weather outside, it will either say the front door is open, or it will either play my playlist.
Yep. All right. I'm going to try to get back to a few questions that folks had that are chatting in. Kate, hold on. So
no, it's fine.
Steve's has had mentioned that they thought Lifx support was surprising from the works with Nest sort of thing. I was also surprised by that because to me, I haven't even seen a Lifx bulb in the wild. I don't even, I've met that guy before. I've followed him from his first Kickstarter where it was like a cardboard box or whatever. And I just never thought Lifx would actually come to fruition. But, being up there amongst like Mercedes and, washing machines and whatever else, I thought that was pretty interesting. Kind of a coup for that guy, so.
It's ridiculous, though, that they wouldn't go with Philips or even a name brand. Lifx is pretty far behind still on so many things. And they claim their bulbs are better, but hasn't been proven yet.
Well, they're very expensive, too, aren't they? I mean, they're more expensive than Hue bulbs.
They're more expensive, but supposedly they have more lumens and supposedly they last longer. We're still about 20 years away from seeing if that's true. And then all the stuff that they promised, like I was really jealous. I originally backed Lifx, and then I realized, like, I don't know, 2 months later or something, Philips introduced their bulb, and I went out and bought a ton of them, and I still have them, and I'm very happy with them. I was a little upset because a lot of the things that Lifx had said they were going to do, like the music and all that stuff, Philips wasn't even talking about. And then they opened their API, and it was flooded with all kinds of programs that do all that stuff. So I didn't really care about Lifx, and I felt like developers, because it was so far behind, wouldn't care either. And I feel like that's kind of happening right now, at least. Although Nest is a pretty big bump for them.
Right. You've said that some of the things that they promised as stock functions still haven't been delivered for Lifx as well. So you guys have some of those bulbs, Lifx?
I canceled that order because his previous he made a cardboard box before he made Lifx. It literally was like this cardboard box for using your phone to scan things, and it was like it was delayed by months and months and months and months. It was just a cardboard box. So I was like, this guy's gonna make a light bulb.
The Lifx campaign before he got the other one like fulfilled. I thought that was pretty ballsy.
It was. And I was like, if he can't get a cardboard box out the door, there's no way he's getting a Lifx out the door. So I was like, I'm getting Philips.
Right. So yeah, that looks like Eves does have some bulbs. So maybe fill in on that. Ermin, are you going to say something? You just popped your pretty face up there.
I thought I was on mute.
Oh man, are you in the office out there, or is that your?
Yeah.
Is that your, okay. Mr. Ermin is now a West Coaster. Left coast.
Out in the valley.
Direct coaster.
So, Beckwith, if you're still on, you made a comment about wanting motion as a part of the Nest Protect API. From what it sounds like, they did not open that sensor or access to that sensor up. Although Cade mentioned, maybe it doesn't work well enough anyways to be reliable to use. But it doesn't sound like that's open yet. Taryn talked about mode changes as an action for, I'm assuming, IFT. And just getting caught up here. All right. And then luminance. So, Beckwith, you're talking about luminance on the Protect and that little circle that lights up and opens it. I didn't see specifically if that was accessible in the API or not. I should read on the forums a bit more. You would think that would be, but who knows? All right. Well, that was good. Good stuff. Todd, now that there's more people here, can you revisit your pool alarm and just give us a quick update again? Sorry for the folks who are going to hear it again.
Okay. One of the things I've got going on here at my house, I bought a new house last year. I've been putting all the landscaping in and everything. As probably most of you have seen, it's mostly ditches out front. But anyway, I'm putting in a swimming pool in the back. And where I live, the county requires that you have a door alarm system or a pool area access alarms. So that means every door that can go direct from your house into the yard area must be alarmed. And they have these alarm systems that hang on your door, like the sliding glass doorknob or a regular door on the knob, and it just either detects motion or a contact break. And they're pretty cheesy. They got a 9-volt battery in them, and they squeal pretty big, but definitely tacky looking. Anyway, so since I had the SmartThings multi-sensors, which are also contact sensors, I've got those mounted on my doors already. I decided to I'd hook it up, and I first looked at using the app that's built into I think Dangers and what's the other Dangers? It's in the new app.
Dangers and Damages.
Dangers and Damages. Yeah, thank you. But it didn't have any way to do anything but just sound the alarm. I wanted to flash my lights and also send a push. Well, it does do a push notification. I take that back. But I also wanted to flash the lights and to react a little bit differently. So go off when the door closed after a few seconds. So that way you accidentally set it. So I wrote the app to turn on the siren, strobe the lights, push message, and also text if the door is open, if it was armed. And so today the county came out to inspect it, and so that was going to be the big test because they're used to looking at state-approved devices, and he originally was not going to sign off. He just looked at it and said that won't work. And I just showed him the iPad, hit the arm button, and then I said, now open the door. And then when he heard that siren go off and saw all the lights flashing everywhere, then you saw his mind change. And then he kind of like, okay, where's the other door? And I said, well, wait a minute, give me your cell phone number. And I put that into the app, hit the arm button again. And then when he opened that door, it texted him that somebody was getting in my pool area. He signed off right after that. That was pretty cool. So I was pretty jazzed.
Yeah.
So now they could put plaster in and fill it with water.
Nice. Yeah, so you should for sure keep us updated on how that goes. I want to see the final LEDs and everything. Are those going to be controlled by SmartThings at all?
Yeah, what I did is I've been trying to work with a company called Zodiac to integrate with them, but they've been pushing back, kind of like TCP did. Nah, we do our own thing. We don't mess with anybody else. But I bought it's called iAqualink, and as soon as I get that installed, I'm just gonna check out what protocol it uses and see if I can somehow hook SmartThings into that, so that way I can use my the LED lighting. It has 2 huge lights in the pool that are LED that change 15 different colors, and then the waterfalls are what they call sheer curtain waterfalls, and they have an LED strip in them, or actually it's a fiber optic LED strip, or they call it fiber, but anyway, so the water comes out that color, and again it has like 15 different colors. So I'm going to try like Cade does, put the berry white on and change the colors when we go out for a nighttime swim. But I don't know how far that'll work.
We don't need Taryn, we don't need any drop cams accessible here.
No, I think
okay.
I'd probably have a better chance if I turn the lights off.
Okay. Looks like pictures of the project would be good once. And he did share some earlier. But so far there's no water in it.
Yeah. Real quick flash. There you go. That's checking it out. Anyway, so the LED waterfalls will be on those back walls. All right, show over.
Nice. All right. What else we got on the docket here? Obviously, anything you guys want to talk about, feel free to throw it out there and we can discuss. There are a few things that we're going to be trying to get out in the coming weeks, including all the Quirky Genius devices. So it's all the stuff Todd's worked on, including Portfolio, Nimbus, Pivot Power's out there already. And there's a few others.
That's the only one that's out.
Arrows.
The egg tray, the air conditioner.
Egg tray, yeah. So we're going to try to get all those out, as well as the FOSCAM integration. I'm just throwing that out there, that's sort of on the front burner now again. And we're going to try to get at least several of the FOSCAM devices fully supported, or at least mostly supported, and get those out there so that we have a few different camera options. What else? I'm assuming everyone here saw the Android app update that happened between the last call and this call. You guys are all on it, so you probably know if you have it.
Have you guys gotten much feedback on that?
No, I mean, no, we've gotten some. I think most of it's good. There are a few like Java errors that we're trying to diagnose where they're coming from. But other than that, it looks, it looks like people are liking it. They like the design, and that it's like almost fully like comparable to the iOS app. Support really likes it because they don't have to like go through two different diagnostic paths. You know, are you Android or iOS? It's totally different, and so now that it's more or less the same. I think now what we'll see is some divergence based on the platforms themselves. Like, you know, hopefully some things like, you know, what do they call it on Android? The little things you can put widgets on your dashboard or whatever else. But we'll see. We got two of the Android guys out at Google I/O this week, so that's slowed down a little bit. But we're hiring, and so the mobile teams are growing. All right, what else do we have? Back to Google I/O. We mentioned it at the outset of the meeting, but you know, nothing super pertinent to SmartThings yet. There was CarLink is their answer for connected cars, and then there's a lot of wearable news. Most of the wearables looked unwearable when I looked at them, just from a design standpoint. But there was a nice looking, I don't know if it was Samsung, but there was a nice looking round watch that I actually thought was pretty nice. The Moto 360.
The Moto. Yeah, the LG and the Samsung look like a cell phone on your wrist.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see how that. Who here is excited about a Google wearable?
I've been using smartwatches for a number of years. I'm doing a Pebble right now.
Okay. Do you have the SmartThings Pebble integration?
I'm doing it through Pebble Tasker. So I launched Pebble Tasker, and I've got a number of things that I launched from there, like my garage door, side door, that sort of thing.
Okay, cool.
I actually wear a real watch, and every time I read one of the articles about the smartwatches, I don't have a problem with smartwatches. I'd love to see a smartwatch that's actually smart and does things that my phone, would take longer to do on my phone. But every time I read one of those articles, it says no one wears watches anymore. You know, what's the benefit? And really, I mean, if you think about the smartwatch, I can hold my phone with one hand and do whatever I need to do, right? With a watch, I have to hold my hand up here, taking this hand out of operation. Then I have to use this hand to operate the watch. It's actually more cumbersome than a phone, and it gives you less information. Like if you're, eating out by yourself or whatever, having lunch out somewhere, and you're on your phone, you can eat and drink and do whatever you need to do while on your phone. Try and do that with a smartwatch. You'd spill your drink in your lap. But, I mean, I just don't think they're doing anything special right now.
I personally don't like to carry my phone everywhere and have to look at it. It's nice to leave my phone in my purse as a female or across the house and have access to my information. Some of us don't like to be tethered to our phones, but still have that access.
Well, you'd have to be within 30 feet of your purse at home, right?
Yeah, but I don't have to dig through my purse.
I would I'd counter also that there's two parts to the smartwatch. First of all is quick access to doing things like with Pebble Tasker. I can do a couple of quick things and bam, I can open my garage door versus pulling out the smartphone, unlocking, opening up SmartThings, and then going to things and then tapping on the item to do it.
I counter with you're both wrong. I'm just kidding.
Okay, no, but there's the other aspect to it is the notification aspect to it, that I can when I get an email, I can simply glance at my watch and go, oh, okay, that's something I need to deal with right away, or that's unimportant, I can deal with it later. It's also great when you're in the car and you get an email or a text. You can quick glance at your watch without having to pull out a phone or anything. And again, if it's something I need to deal with right away, I pull off and I deal with it. If not, then I just keep on going about my day.
Adding to that, some of us are in meetings all the time. It's so much less obnoxious to look at your watch and your wrist than it is to look at a phone. People know you're ignoring them when
And
you're looking
Taryn,
at the
that's
phone.
probably the
Agreed.
best. That's probably the best thing I've heard, and that's probably the only thing that's actually makes any sense if you're in a meeting and you're trying not to offend someone. But as far as Chris, when you said you didn't want to take out your phone and open up SmartThings and open your garage door, I mean, the whole point of SmartThings is that you don't have to touch anything. If you wanted to set it up so that your garage door automatically opens when you pull in your driveway, you technically could do that, and then you don't even have to touch your watch.
Oh, understood. This is more like if I'm in my house and I got to go out to it's time to go mow the lawn or something like that. Then I can just pop three quick button presses on my Pebble and my garage door opens. That's the sort of thing I'm talking about. Now, theoretically, if I had a battery in my remote garage door opener, I could just press that and it would work as well. But I don't have a battery in it right now.
Excuse me for jumping
And then
in
the
here,
other
but
thing with your watch is,
what's
Sorry.
interesting is what you guys are talking about is one of the big challenges that SmartThings faces, personalized contexts use cases. I like doing it this way. Other people like doing it that way. They have value to each of us. But that's what's been hard for people to grasp HA, because it's difficult to contextualize everything to a personal use case and wish.
Yeah, I mean, and everyone's going to have that like really long tail solution. That's why they love SmartThings. Like, I swear, Maria, who works with us, her big thing is, she loves the little washing machines done app. Like, if you ask most people what home automation is all about, it's not about like getting a little text message when the washing machine stops, but like that's her favorite use case amongst all of them. And so everyone has like their little things, and I think that's just like that's the cool part of this. And not everyone wants their lights to all react to them maybe when they walk in the room, but some people will find something. And like you said, Todd, our challenge is to find that thing for everyone and be able to communicate it. Because I think a real big testament to what we're doing is if we ask the question, if SmartThings were like out of your life tomorrow, what would be the thing you would miss? And we don't want people to be like, meh, it was fine, like, yeah, and just be like neutral to it. We want them to like really miss something that they would have. So, yeah, good discussion.
Who won?
Oh, that debate you guys had?
Me.
It's so personalized. I don't know that there is a winner. I think that the wearables, for me, I need the wearable to also do a lot of like biometric tracking and stuff for it to be interesting for me to wear. I don't wear a watch. I haven't worn a watch in like 15 years. But I could be talked into one if it had like multiple, other things.
And I'm the same way. I don't have anything against smartwatches. I just don't think any of them that have been out so far are smart. If you want to say notification is smart, I mean, I'm just unimpressed.
Did you watch any of Google I/O today? I mean, some of the stuff that you did was had it like having recipes on your watch, so you don't have to put your phone at risk. I mean, there's some cool stuff.
That's the same thing with like the recipes when you're cooking. You're looking at your watch. I mean, I'd rather have I think Epicurious or one of those apps, and I don't use recipes when I cook, but one of those applications, I believe you pull up the recipe on an iPad or something like that, and you literally just say up and it scrolls up. You say down, it scrolls down the recipe, and you have a nice big screen with information and pictures and all that other stuff. To me, that's so much better than looking at a 1.5 inch or 2 inch screen on your watch, which you have to, it's just like while you dump while you dump too much salt or something in your recipe while you're tilting to see what's on your wrist.
Yeah, and I guess that's a personal preference. I don't really worry about dumping too much salt in my food.
That wakes me up at night.
Yeah, it's definitely for each person for their own. I mean, it's the same argument I have with tablets. For me, a tablet just doesn't make sense. It's it's too small to be a laptop and too big to carry around with me all the time like my phone. So it's personal preference.
Do you own any tablets?
I do not. My family does. My wife's got one, and both my kids have a Nexus tablet. But I play around with them, of course, and I help them with setting things up and all that kind of stuff on it. But I myself don't really have one that I use at all.
I think tablets rock.
Get them, Todd.
You're wrong.
No, I have a Surface, Microsoft Surface. It is the best of both worlds. And then I have a few. Go ahead.
Which Surface?
The second one. And then I have some WebOS tablets, right, Ermin?
I was collecting those for a while.
As much as I hate the Windows 8 interface for a laptop, that's tempting to me as a tablet. I've actually kind of looked at that one a little bit and thought about it as a best of both worlds solution.
Well, I have the old WebOS tablets as kiosks in different rooms, and I've got Tasker running on them with SmartThings, and pretty cool. I repurpose them. They're not really tablets anymore. They're just little windows sitting there.
Yeah. We got a question about new hub firmware. So hold on, let me see. When's the last time, Beckwith, that you updated your firmware, or do you know which version you're on? And Johnny, I haven't forgot about your question. I'm going to come back to it at the end.
Yes, Orbit Sprinkler
There is
timer.
probably a new one. We're actually in the process of rolling out, the latest we started it a couple weeks ago. We got a little sidetracked and kind of paused it, but I would imagine in the next couple weeks, everyone across the base will get a new firmware rolled out to them. If you want it beforehand, I think just a quick note to support, asking them to send the latest would be enough. Steve is asking, anyone else have a Ratio Iro out there?
Yeah, it's a new sprinkler. It came out about a month ago. Just wondering if I'm the only one.
Is it smart with wireless, or what does it have? Is it Wi-Fi based?
Yeah, it's all Wi-Fi based.
Ricky approached us at CES and wanted to do some integration, and then we were talking about it, and then they kind of just dropped off the map with us. I think probably because they were working with Quirky, because I saw a picture of the Quirky on the Wink announcements, so that probably makes sense.
Oh wow, I haven't heard anything about Quirky, but I know that they're supposed to start selling at Home Depot. But yeah, I think they're a little overwhelmed, to be honest with you. I think they're so busy with just trying to update the app to do the basic functionality. I don't think they've had time to focus on any partnerships right now.
There's no way Wink can compete with Iris. That was a bad way to go, I think, as far as Home Depot versus Lowe's goes.
Well, Home Depot made the call to get Revolve first. It's like they got their feet wet with that. And they went from one platform to another. I mean, Wink, being what it is still better than what Revolve can offer to a channel like Home Depot.
That kind of scares me, though, as far as like where the Internet of Things is going with companies competing to have blocking
platform.
No, just to have a be the only one with that device, right? So like Nest or someone goes to a device maker and says like, we'll give you this much money if you only integrate with our device, and that's kind of a scary concept.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then whenever we get new people with new devices coming to the market, coming to us asking for things, we we make sure to run them through a development process that is not SmartThings specific. We won't, even if they ask for it, we wouldn't do it. If they're going to do Zigbee or something, we walk them through the full open spec. If they want to do Wi-Fi, we make sure that it's an API that most people can get to. I agree. Everyone hurts when a product is only proprietary to one system. That hurts the space. It hurts, branding. It hurts the market. So it's interesting to see all these people who want to be the one platform. People forget that the market's big enough to have multiple platforms on at the same time. It's crazy to think of the whole one platform as the end all that everyone will be on no matter what.
That's one of the things about the Wink announcement, though. They have promised to remain totally open to any and everybody.
Who is that?
So they will Wink.
Oh.
The Quirky guys. So Quirky and GE are partners in creating the devices.
Yeah,
Wink came about because of that. They spun Wink off this week as its own separate company.
Yeah, so.
And its own API and everything. So, and they have vowed to keep that open and wide open. So think of it this way. I see that anything that Wink does now, because we've integrated with them, that we can take that integration, extend upon it, and make it even better and bring it into a more broad HA platform like SmartThings. So not just Wink devices, but you can tie your Wink device to your Lifx or your Sonos or your Jawbone or your smartwatch even, because I love those.
Has anyone else?
What you just said there.
Sorry. Has anyone else noticed that their Hue light bulbs aren't updating on the application anymore, the SmartThings application? I used to, if I used a switch or if I used a different app to update the lights or to change the lights, it would update when I opened up SmartThings. It would have the new, whether they were on or off. And now, if I turn them on SmartThings and I turn them off at the wall, or if I turn them off using the Hue application, they're still showing on the application, even if I refresh that little page.
I've never had success with that.
I used to when it was first integrated.
How long have you used the Hue bulbs, Aaron?
Since the labs became available.
Okay.
Might have been I just never noticed, but.
Right.
It's not device specific. It's across a ton of different devices.
Well, I think it's LAN devices though. I think we're seeing LAN devices being slow. You think it's other things, Todd?
Even my GE Jasco switches on my wall are the same problem.
So they're not updating when you manually do it?
And it's not 100% of the time. And I can't nail. That's why I haven't said much, because I can't nail down the condition that definitely does or doesn't do it.
I'm noticing it with open close devices or open close sensors too, that they don't always update right away.
With the SmartThings ones?
Yeah. Yes.
It's a case of just, the app, the mobile app just doesn't seem to be reporting right away that the state has changed.
Is it changing?
Android or iOS?
Android.
I'm iOS.
Okay.
You should get an Android. It's better.
I have. Sorry.
I'm bi-platform.
Ooh, you go both ways, huh?
Todd.
I'm sorry.
Ben, going to what you're saying, I have no problems whatsoever though with my WeMo light switches. It's just the Hue bulb that I've noticed. I haven't noticed with Sonos or anything else.
Yeah, my WeMos don't do it either. I don't have a problem with my GEs that I'm aware of, although I'm going to check now. And the Sonos, the pause thing works pretty well as well. I like that you guys finally changed the modes though, so that the at home thing or the
Hello Home.
you don't have two modes. That was pretty confusing as far as like, having modes and having modes and then having the Hello Home modes. It's nice that you guys changed the vocabulary at least.
Yeah, I mean, the vocabulary was always there, but it was sort of like subjected a little bit. There was, Hello Home phrases could call mode changes. And so I think that was a little bit confusing to people, but I think exposing the current mode that you're in is helpful to people, even if it's still kind of the same mechanism to change.
And I have another question. I have, so since the new application was put out, since the new look came out, I haven't been able to find like Mode Magic. I still have the apps that I've set up, and if you search, there's like one Mode Magic left, but all the other ones are gone that I'm aware of. And there was never a change mode on open close, which was, I feel like that would have been a good one to have. But is that correct? Is Mode Magic gone, or is it just is there a problem with it right now?
I think that we have been like removing some of the more legacy smart apps, or trying to clear up some of the like silos that we had as far as categorization, in favor of sorting it by device in the new like smart setup procedure. So you hit the plus, and you can either go directly to a device that you want or an action that you want to do, and it'll kind of show you that. But I think Mode Magic may have been one of those that we got rid of. Now, Mode Magic is still around, and you can find it like through the IDE, I think. But I'm not positive. I'll have to check. But it's an interesting bit of feedback to just kind of see how you use that.
How I use Mode Magic?
Yeah.
So I really so let's say my wife comes home. If she's in the vicinity, it will change to my wife's home mode, which will alert me, and when she opens the door, it will welcome her and put on music that she likes in the bedroom, and change the lighting and stuff for her over there. And then the goal is so with a motion detector in there, it would put it back to a normal mode so that the other things start happening again. And same thing with if I were to come home, or just different things like that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have to figure out if there are like ways to do some of that stuff without Mode Magic, but I'll look at it and see what I could recommend, or if there's still a way to find Mode Magic smart app stuff. I know. So, I think I still.
Was the concept for you guys that Mode Magic auto changing modes was not something people were using, or wasn't worth developing anymore?
It's just that auto-changing modes can happen in Hello Home, I think, on some level.
So I'm actually going to
go ahead, Herman.
I'll end up the office hours with actually answering a bunch of questions. First, to start with the hue. There's a problem with the hue where the bulbs don't send events to the controller. We actually have to. There's no subscription. We have to poll for them every 5 minutes. Sometimes there's cases where poll will stop or fail. That's being worked on, so that's a good one. We're also working on ways to get rid of the hue bridge altogether. That will get better as we move away from poll. So instead of using polling, we'll start using scheduling to schedule jobs instead of our default poll service, which is very weird. The Jasco problem, we found an issue. We moved from polling from the cloud every 5 minutes to polling on the hub every 6 seconds. And there was a problem with the Jasco firmware that we're discussing, that they lock up. They don't like being asked so frequently. We're trying to find the sweet spot for it or find the fix for it. So that will also get better as well. It shouldn't Sometimes they lock up, so the functionality just stops, but they also come back after a few seconds, and it's not widespread as much as we think. The Sonos, we have new engineering contacts at Sonos who's going to help us with the API to easily transition to an announcement back to your playlist. So or a specific song in your queue, as long as it's bad in the queue. And then the last one was PlantLink. PlantLink is going to be only a cloud-to-cloud integration that they're working on. And last time we checked in with them, Ben, was a few days ago, and I think they said they were getting close to a final integration.
I didn't realize that it was only cloud-to-cloud.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm a little sad about that.
Well, it's going to be, it'll be a cloud-to-cloud.
What happens when their cloud goes down?
I don't know what happens when our cloud goes down. It's
well,
I mean, they're wrapping
they might
up
be going out of business.
Yeah,
they said on their Kickstarter project too. They said that we will be able to trigger SmartThings events based on stuff like dry conditions or whatever, for alerts or something like that. So I don't know if that's still current or not. That maybe.
They are Zigbee, and we did some work initially where we thought that they were going to use SmartThings as the back end. So there is a possibility that SmartThings users will be able to pair the PlantLink to the hub directly, which is an opportunity. It could happen. It's up to PlantLink.
Well, that much I do know. I paired one of my PlantLinks to the hub successfully. It didn't do anything because the hub didn't know what it was, but it did pair to the hub.
Yeah, and the reason the hub doesn't know what it was is because the way PlantLink comes to their value is they run it through a proprietary set of algorithms that they had developed to determine the value that they measure, which is not just humidity. Right. It's a certain resistance or something to come to their plant fuel. So if PlantLink ceases their cloud operations and they want to work with us to make that algorithm available on our platform, then their users can continue using it via SmartThings.
Do you know if we made the introduction to the Plaid Systems guys for the Eden?
I don't know if we've made an official one yet. No. So the Eden
we're talking about that too. That Eden stuff is pretty interesting. They've been in contact with us, and they've been doing, as much as they can, their own integration to this point.
Well, Eden has done everything so far without us. Yeah. Which is kind of awesome. It's the entire point of SmartThings to let device makers be device makers and not have to worry about the back end. Only have to concentrate on the device, which at the end of the day makes a better quality device. And they don't have to worry about putting this crappy app or crappy platform up just to support their device. That's all they really care about. So the Eden guys did that, and I'm excited to work with them. They seem really cool and have fun with it. And yeah. See what's going on from there. And then I guess the last thing that Taryn mentioned was the Harmony, which is still in very much development. It's not, I can't say it's near term, unfortunately. There's a lot that goes into it on both sides of the table. Core API is currently going through penetration review and security oversight. So I don't have any update on that. We have to submit to penetration testing on all of them. So.
But I mean, even at the end of that testing, Core API is not going to be something that we just open up to everyone, is it?
We don't know. There's no reason not to for some things. I guess it hasn't really been sussed out, but it really depends on. First, we got to go through the security paces, make sure it's not, even if we did give it out, none of it's vulnerable or anything like that. And we haven't. Right. We're just beginning talks with penetration firms to get that. Reviewed. And the Core API, it could just be for partners. We might open it up for maybe Core API just as at the account level where you still have to agree to let a service access your information. A lot of options, but really the Core API, the only thing you can get from a Core API is accessing multiple locations at one time. All the functionality basically is still there with the rest stuff.
we are in extra minutes, just like the soccer games this last week. But I want to say there are a few other things that people are having questions about. I did want to touch on the rule builder, although it's not much of an update in that regard. While we have currently only tested it on mobile, we're kind of coming to the conclusion that mobile isn't the best place for that, and we're a couple weeks into a project regarding some improvements to the desktop experience, and how we can get that to be good for not just like developers, but also just like general people coming in and like doing some basic account maintenance or setup, including rule building potentially. So that's kind of what we're at. Let's see. I don't know what Erman's talking about with Eves, but that's it on that. If anyone else has other questions, I'll share with you guys a couple of the community site stats. So the biggest topics on community site lately have been the MyQ garage door opener. Both a device type and a smart app have been created to connect with that particular garage door type. That's very cool. There's been a big discussion about wall dimmers or dimmable LEDs. Hundreds of comments on that thread. And then one of my favorites from the last week has been the Scream It from the Mountaintops thread. If you haven't already commented on there, please search for that on the community site, or I could paste it in. And just kind of say your favorite uses of SmartThings. I think it's just interesting to share, and I shared it with a lot of the team internally, and they got really excited about it because it's just nice to be reminded that this product is affecting people's lives in ways that we probably hadn't thought of it doing. And then lastly, we've in the past 30 days on the new community site, we've had nearly 400 new members join and 3,000 posts made in 30 days. So, and only one spammer. So I'm very pleased with that.
The community site's been blowing up. I'm having the hardest time keeping up with just everything because there's just so much of it, which is awesome. There's so many people, and people are active and commenting. And
how many hubs do you guys have connected now?
That is a metric we are not currently releasing.
All right, it's proprietary, sure. And
so 4 is what you're saying. 4.
Yeah. The people
it's just us. It's just the people in this chat. And then how's the rule builder coming?
So
the rule builder
have been doing stuff when we were talking about that, but there's a rule builder app, and then there's potential for rule building happening on a web-based view instead. But we haven't really progressed the rule builder app very much. Erman, do you have any other information?
No, just in general, we have taken a huge slowdown on new development and features because everyone is absolutely heads down on what's the word I'm looking for? Sustainability? No, not sustainability. Reliability. Everyone's working on platform reliability, uptime, getting things faster.
Hub V2.
That's the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I don't know where that's coming from.
Leo.
That's from Leo, but and the fact that it's like stark and scary, it's terrifying.
I know. I think we all just witnessed a murder.
I'm very scared.
The background, I can't get that much light.
Yeah. Sorry, Taryn. Not sustainability, reliability, platform stability is what I was also looking for. Less downtime, faster. Where we have a new metric that we're using called Smart App Timers that are all every employee has a switch that we put in their house, and all we do is just ping it every minute, and we get round trip times, and we're trying to bring that number down across the board. And we're also trying to look, do people on the West Coast have longer lag times? Do we need to stand up servers over here? But it's actually not that bad. It's not very noticeable. I'd say typical round trip time that we're seeing on an average day is about 400 milliseconds, and that's from the smart app level all the way down to the hub to the end device, back up to the smart app level. So that's going through absolutely every server we have. Yeah. So it's smart app to device type to hub, hub to device, and all the way back up. So that's the longest we can make it. 400 milliseconds is not awful. It's pretty good, but it could still be a lot faster.
I have a question.
No.
The mini mode sucks.
What's wrong with it?
Yeah, I've heard both. Some people say they love it, and some people say they hate it. I'd like to hear what you don't like about it.
I haven't been able to get it to really work that well.
Really? I love the mini mode.
I want to love it. It's such an awesome idea. I want to be able to use it, but the buttons, I can't get the buttons. I got the remote to connect, and the button app doesn't work. Yeah.
Really? Did you let it die? Are the batteries dead?
No.
All right.
Are you sure?
You could get a smartwatch
sure.
that has buttons on it.
I'm an idiot. but what I'd like to see from I think the mini mode would be so much better if each button, when you connected the remote, if each button became a switch, and then I could use it with any app I wanted. Like right now, you have to use the button app, and you're limited to what you can use. And for me, it's not working for some reason. And it's probably because I haven't ever plugged it into the wall, like you said. But I've removed it and connected it to the device, to the hub, like 10 times easily. And the only thing that I can get to work solidly each time is if you hold the top two buttons or the bottom two buttons. If you hold the top two buttons, it turns on all your Z-Wave devices. If you hold the bottom two buttons down, it turns off all your Z-Wave devices.
Wait, I think you're using it wrong.
No, I'm not using it wrong. That's part of the remote. The remote, it's like built-in functionality of the remote. If you do it with your remote right now, it will turn off all your Z-Wave devices. If you hold the bottom two buttons down there.
The way you're supposed to pair it to SmartThings is not as a Z-Wave controller.
Yes. I contacted so it was only working like that. I couldn't get any of the button apps to find it. So I contacted support, and they went in the back end and changed the mode or whatever. And the button app could find it, but none of them are activated. So it's definitely connected.
I'll have to ping support on that, because you have to pair it in a certain manner. You can't, because there's two modes for it. There's like the controller mode where it can directly control Z-Wave scenes and Z-Wave devices. Then there's the button mode where instead of controlling devices, it's sending events to the hub and not trying to go after a device. So there's two different ways to pair it. The way to do it is you have to hit like the learn mode. You hit learn when you're pairing it, and it will pair it as a device. And what's important about that is
I hit learn where.
So you can slide the device down, and there's 4 buttons on there.
Yeah. So
there's a one called learn.
Is that the one that's not that doesn't have any writing on it?
I think they should all have writing.
One second.
There are 2 mini mode versions out there in the wild. One has like numbers on it and one doesn't. And so it could be that he's seeing something a little bit different than you're used to. But for me, I tried to use I think there's like an include, or there's some button that's labeled weird enough that I thought that's what I should press, but it was really learn.
Yeah, I wanted the one with just the squares, but they sent me the one with the numbers, which is kind of annoying.
Oh, yeah, so it's a little different, but
Verizon, I think.
Yeah, it's not Verizon branded anywhere, but that's what I've read.
I think it's the bottom right one, the one that says join, I think.
That's how I joined.
Is it? Yeah. So does it pair as device, like Aeon, whatever? Office hours. Send me a ticket.
Yeah.
But I paired it using that. So I think it's not me, and it's SmartThings.
I think it's a dead
probably true.
When mine stopped working, I wasn't expecting it because I only was using it for like an hour, but I had never charged it after I got it. Once you charge it, it lasts for a while. But that almost all the support tickets about Minimote are because the battery has died.
I think that
I
battery's
want to
good.
address the other point, though, that you brought up, Kate, about not being able to use it with other apps. When you get it paired, can you use this in apps, or I mean, how does it work to get it to do something?
There's a buttons application, and it says like if you have one button, what do you want to do with that one button? If you have two, and it's got if you hold it down versus if you press it. So there's basically like 8 buttons here, depending on if you long press or short press. But what I'd like to see is an application that sets each button up as a switch, right? So even if it was 8 switches for this remote, that would be awesome because I could name each one, and I could use it with any app that allows switching as a functionality.
Okay, so you have you used sorry, I'm my train of thought is getting lost here. Set it up so that each button triggers a virtual tile, so that when you press button 1, it flips on virtual tile 1, and then you use that as your switch. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying as a layman user, I think that functionality of it creating switches you can access and name and move to different rooms would make more sense than. And I mean, I wouldn't call myself a programmer, but I'm not retarded either. And I had a decent amount of trouble setting it up correctly. And if it's on your shop site, to me, you're saying this is pretty solid. This works pretty solidly.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that there needs to be more smart apps, like you were mentioning. Button app is the only one that currently really works with it. I think we have to extend it, and by we I mean everyone, like the community and whatever else. I think that there should be some more apps that do work with it, like you're saying. Although the problems that you seem to be having with it don't seem to be necessarily related to the button app function as much as it's just not functioning as you expect. So that seems like a support issue, and you should send something in about that. All right, I think I lost track of if there's any other, pressing questions. If you have one, say it so now. Otherwise, we will close it down.
If you have the time, I would love to know if there's any thought on setting up multiple users on one account. It was one of the things that I wanted to do originally, sort of thing like I would set up my kids so that they would be able to load the mobile app onto their tablet, but they would only have limited access to, say, the devices that are in their rooms, or maybe a handful of other things that I give them access to. But they wouldn't have access to the siblings' room, which would cause all kinds of problems.
Yeah, so you're actually talking about different account levels, and it's something that we, obviously architected for early on when we were, doing this. For simplicity, we haven't built that in yet. Right now, everyone who is in on the account or invited in the account has more or less the same privileges. But getting so that there's different privilege levels and different rights is something that we are working on. I'm assuming more in earnest now in the next quarter, but I don't have a time frame for it.
Okay, but it's still on the radar. That's good to know, at least.
Yep.
I have a question though. Did you guys set up a timer scheme for different profiles? Let's say leave for work from a certain time, let's say 9 to 5, go to sleep 12 to 6. So it will automatically trigger according to the time schedule.
So, are you talking about maybe switching from one mode to another based on specific times?
Correct.
Yeah, that stuff should be in there. If you create a mode and then go through with hello home phrases, you can sort of set up modes to switch on a schedule. It can be, let me just double check this.
Or let's say if my kid goes to school and comes back, so I have a specific time where, let's say they're not playing hooky, they can come home afterwards, and the door will unlock for them. The siren will not ring. My neighbors will not get alerted as long as myself.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that with a schedule and with presence notifications as well. So, if your kid had a presence sensor in the backpack or something, that could automatically disable the sirens as well, especially if the times weren't the same every day. But if the times are the same every day, you can set that up in the Hello Home phrases by saying like, hey, here's the times that I want it to switch and whatnot.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, unless I'm not understanding something about the question, yeah, that would be it. And, I mean, the other thing I would mention is if you do have, questions like that, if you think that they're potentially support related, go to support. But otherwise, the community is a great place to pose those kinds of questions in between these calls.
So can I also set it up in my Android app, or let's say on my wife's iPhone, iOS?
Yeah, the latest Android app and the iOS apps are more or less the same in terms of how you set those things up. So it should be both. And then if you invited her to the account, she should be a user on the account as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Yeah.
Hey Ben,
yeah.
Kind of a side question to the roles or profiles.
Mm-hmm.
Is there just a way that we could turn off push notifications on the different devices? Because everybody's getting everything that's pushing through, and I'm the only one that wants it to stay out of 3 people that I have on my.
Yeah, I mean that might be a quick, easier first step because it's not based on roles, but actually on devices or even just like email accounts.
Something, because I think that's one of the most annoying things for the people I have on my account. They're in class or they're in work or something, they forget to silence their phone and they're getting notifications that all my crazy apps at my house are going off and doing things, and it drives them nuts.
Right. Yeah, I'll put that in there in the tickets surrounding roles and behavior. I'm sure. I mean, it's something that we've talked about before. That's one of the bigger issues with people getting too many notifications. All right. I'm trying just quickly to see if I can answer a few of the last questions from Beckwith there. Looking at.
This is a good question, Taryn.
Yeah. Let me look. All right. So Beckwith, you're asking about like a graphical layout of the devices and mesh that's happening, so that kind of people can see how it is that the devices are connected together, especially with Z-Wave and Zigbee, like parent-child relationships. Is that what you're interested in? All right. Yeah, we have some tools we've worked on internally that show like a node type graph, sort of like a real-time view of the network as well. I don't think we've released it widely yet. But I think you can get some of that information in a non-graphical manner within the IDE site. But shoot me a note after this, and I'll try to see what's available and share it with you if I can. Just Ben at SmartThings.com. And then iBeacons. So yeah, I think we could do something with iBeacons even before Hub v2. We've done some prototypes already with them, and how we've been using these ones from Rad. I think they're called Rad something. They're very cool. You can power them down or power them up so that you either walk into a room and the iBeacon knows you're there, or you can you have to actually set your phone down in a specific place, and that can do something and trigger a mode. So we've seen some very cool things, but we haven't been able to, we haven't obviously had time to prioritize that as a focus area. I think next year is going to be the big time for iBeacons, just in general, but I think that it's kind of early yet, but we'll see. We'll probably do some more stuff before the end of the year.
Is Apple planning on selling like little iBeacons that you could set up around your house? Or, I mean, right now I know they have them in stores, but is that something they want at the consumer level? Is that the plan?
I mean, I don't know that if Apple plans on doing it like that, or if they've already got like a number of things in your home, like Apple TVs or Airport Extremes, they might not just try to use some of that if they can. But I think you're right. Retail is gonna use that first, and then it'll get into residential later if people are interested. And I think that it'll just take people longer to be interested in that than some of these other more accessible home automation scenarios.
Are you talking specifically about iBeacon or BLE in general?
Beacon technology, so using Bluetooth is what most of them are doing, but mostly just in general, not iBeacon with like the Apple brand or whatever.
I've got some different, I think about 3 different kinds of BLE. I have not been able to start any of my projects on them, but who's working on that internally, or who was?
Well, I mean, we were just working on it in conjunction with Juan, actually, and not we didn't have a lot of internal resources on it, but there's a few people who've researched it. I'm not remembering who right now.
So Juan was dabbling in it?
Juan was, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll give him a buzz. Cool.
All right.
I've been excited to work on it. So.
Yeah. All right, quick question on the speakers. We don't have any other network-enabled speakers quite yet. I'll try to, hopefully in the coming months we'll have some more information about that. I
just invested in Sonos.
Okay, yeah, Sonos. Just invested on that.
You're gonna throw some other speakers in?
All right. Well, thanks everyone. It's been a good, productive call. We've got extra 25 minutes of time, so we'll make that up next time. Bye.